This is Everyday Discipleship, a podcast whose mission is to equip Christians to live for the glory of Christ from a biblical worldview. My name is Chad Lee, and with me is Cole Shannon. We are two pastors at Reformation Baptist Church in Northwest Arkansas, and today we're going to be discussing a theology of aliens. I'm looking forward to this.
I think this might be a longer one, just because you kind of got to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
You're not going to do multiple episodes on on aliens and stuff, but it is something that I'm somewhat interested in because, not because I think aliens are real. I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think aliens are real. But because I'm interested in the way non-Christians view and understand the world around them. Like we talk about this whole thing is like a worldview thing. And so the way non-Christians talk about this stuff, think about this stuff, how they see the world, and what their answers are for the big questions of life, which some of the alien stuff kind of touches on, because it's this idea of like, who are we, where are we going, that kind of idea. I mean, one of the things that the Bible answers for us, who are we, where are we going? We're made in the image of God for his glory. That I do think, though, that, why I even brought this up as a topic, because this stuff comes across my social media all the time, but doesn't so much for you.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of it, but I will say this. I'm excited about it because we're less than a month out for my annual Independence Day watching for the 4th of July.
That's an annual one for you?
Yeah, I love it.
That's up there with Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation.
No, it's not that high, but it's that and the Patriot, like July 4th. Here we go.
Patriot's pretty good.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day of sitting Owen down and saying, this is our founding.
Right here. Yes.
Jessica said I need to hold off, though, because I forget about that hatchet scene.
It's pretty brutal. I can't, not yet in our household as a whole.
But why talk about this? I think it's because I do think Christians need an answer. I think that the idea of the official language for it now is not UFO, it's UAP, which was unidentified aerial phenomena that has now become unidentified anomalous phenomena, because it's not just in the sky. That there's video and stuff like that of in the ocean. I mean, you're talking about these, whatever they are, these crafts or whatever that are supposedly flying at insane speeds, defying physics, that will like go into water without a splash. And you got testimony of like basically submarine military guys that say there's things huge, like 2 football fields long, going like 200 miles an hour under the water. They just can't they just can't explain, and they don't understand. And so like it's becoming more and more mainstream out in the world. I mean, it's on Fox News, which is, if it's already on mainstream media, like it's already been on the internet for how long?
Well, I mean, how many congressional hearings have they had?
There's been several congressional hearings, like a bunch of whistleblowers coming out. Probably the leading whistleblower, I'll probably mention him a few times, is David Garush. He's been testifying before Congress. There's a congressional committee that's like an oversight over these things with Anna Paulina Luna, I don't know where she represents, Tim Burchett from Tennessee, Burleson from Missouri. There might be other ones on there, but you've members of Congress are actively talking about this idea of disclosure of the United States the federal government needs to disclose what we have about these UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. You got like David Garush testifying before Congress that they've recovered. Now we'll get into some, but they've recovered non-human biologics from some of these crash retrieval programs. And that that's a big whole thing, is that there's this, this is another guy. He's kind of like I don't know what you call him. He's not really, like Garush is like associated with the military. I don't remember, I think he might've been Air Force. I don't remember what he was, but he had like clearance, and that's how he kind of gets his information. And then there's this other guy named Stephen Greer who's big into this like disclosure world, where I think he helped with Amazon's documentary called Disclosure, which is like one of the top rated documentaries or top rated movies on Amazon that you could rent, that talks about this whole thing. But his whole thing is that it talks about a reverse engineering program, that the issue is that there's these basically BlackRock, Lockheed Martin, all these like paramilitary companies have been given black budgets to reverse engineer some of these crafts, and it's outside of the government's purview. I mean, you got Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett will say that what he's so frustrated with, he's the guy from Tennessee, the representative from Tennessee, he's so frustrated with people that are not elected representatives saying the president is on a need-to-know basis on some of this stuff. Mm. And so it's obviously out there culturally mainstream. Like Marco Rubio, he did an interview where he talks about there's these crafts that we have no idea what they are or how they operate. You have the Secretary of State just saying that openly. You have the Department of War. They've dumped 2. There's rumors that there's going to be a third one. So far, they've not really had a lot in there that really matters. But the UAP files, which has some videos of stuff that some I've seen, some I haven't seen before. But like, you have Department of War releasing this stuff, and Trump talking about disclosure. And so, I think Christians need to have an answer for what do we make of this? Like, what do we make of all this? Because obviously, out there in the world, it's like, oh, there's higher beings over us. There's another guy. He's been on Joe Rogan's show a lot. His name's Bob Lazar. So Bob Lazar is this dude that supposedly worked at Area 51 and worked on reverse engineering some of these crafts. And he says, like, he talks about, and he's got some sketchy stuff in his past, like to discredit him or whatever, but like, he's big in this kind of community because his story hasn't changed for however many years. I mean, talking about like 70s or 80s or something like that. And talks about how everything's so compartmentalized that you only work on your thing, and that it's just a huge world out there. And so you get Joe Rogan talking about it, and like how, like Bob Lazar, he talks about how what his understanding is that these aliens, because like the question is like, what do they want with us, or like why do they come and observe us, why do they come and do all this stuff, that we are essentially, he like was hesitant to say, Bob Lazar guy is hesitant to say it, but like basically saying, oh, we're just containers for souls to them. We're containers for souls, which is a weird thing to say. That I think Christians need to have an answer, because it does raise questions of what about God? What about this other stuff? Because you'll see a lot of the talk in the UAP kind of community world is that basically the idea is that we need to evolve into a higher classification of being, that the reason we're getting visited and the reason it's becoming more and more frequent is because we've split the atom and developed nuclear weapons, basically. And so ever since we developed nuclear weapons, there's been increased UAP activity around these nuclear facility sites. And the idea, the hypothesis on that side is that they are observing us to make sure we don't just destroy ourselves or blow ourselves up or ruin everything. There's just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And
so like the question is, how's a Christian look at this stuff? How's a Christian look at this talk of aliens, extraterrestrials? I mean, the official government language, like this is the thing. This is from the White House. The White House retweets this stuff, like with a disclosure files and stuff like that. Non-human intelligence is the official line. Non-human intelligence, right? So like they're not saying aliens, we're saying non-human intelligence. NHI.
So, let me ask you this. So in your research, have you seen, because I haven't been really in this world very much, and the only evidence that I've seen have been these UAPs, like these
videos of
stuff. Of these.
That's all there. I mean, that's all there really is. Videos.
Yeah, there
and
hasn't
stories.
been any evidence of any biologics.
No, so like
biologics.
I think it's like the frustrating thing, because like David Grush will talk about, we've recovered these non-human biologics, but like there's no bodies. There's reports of like bodies being all over the place. You know what I mean? There's like one CIA whistleblower, which again, trust CIA as far as you can throw them. Yeah. One CIA whistleblower coming out and saying that there's 4 species of aliens that our government is aware of. So,
yeah, I was going to ask you about this.
So
like, what are the...
No, this is not an official government thing. This is like a CIA whistleblower. Now, who knows? But like this idea of mantids, which are like praying mantis aliens, the Greys, which are your traditional movie aliens, like Steven Spielberg's about to do that Disclosure Day movie coming out. Those are Greys in that movie.
Are Greys the Independence Day aliens?
No, I mean the Independence Day are kind of their own thing. Greys are like just like what you think of, like the
E.T.
No, like if you thought of Roswell, or like the big head aliens with the big eyes and small mouth, small little body, that kind of stuff. And then you got the Nordics, which basically look like giant Goliath-sized Swedes. Okay. And then reptilians, which reptilians one is like a whole nother conspiracy theory that like the lizard people are basically like running the government and replacing people and like wearing human skin masks and stuff. I mean, it's just crazy.
It sounds pretty crazy.
I mean, all this stuff is pretty nuts. But and I think that's like part of it. I think part of it is, I think a lot of it is a disinformation campaign of throw it all out there. Just like, because I think when you talk about these craft, right? Just take these unidentified aerial phenomena stuff. We've been so conditioned by like we live in I think it's Wes Huff that talks about it, is like, we live in a sci-fi world. I mean, science fiction has very much influenced our way of thinking, the movies we've watched, stuff like that. So like when we see these things, we assume aliens. Like we see these things we can't understand, we assume aliens, space, extraterrestrials type stuff. And I think if I were the government and I was wanting to instill fear in people and garner more control and more power to myself, I think the UAP thing would be a great way to do it. Basically, you can instill fear. I mean, like I think it's Reagan to the UN back when he was president, talked about essentially, wouldn't it be great if we had an alien invasion that would then unite the whole world together? So this idea then becomes, right, with like New World Order type stuff, that an alien invasion, a threat to unite humanity, one world government, total control is kind of the idea. And like Stephen Greer, who that guy, there's some wackadoo stuff with all these people, okay? But he's credentialed in this space, okay? I'm not saying I respect it, but whatever. But like, he talks about how there's this conspiracy theory out there called Project Bluebeam, which Project Bluebeam is this government conspiracy that they are going to basically fake an alien invasion using these unidentified aerial phenomena, drones, bombs, to basically threaten an alien invasion to garner power to themselves, basically. And so, like, when you talk about crafts, like, what do you do with these physical crafts? Is that, I mean, I think one of the most obvious answers would be it's a government psyop. It's just, I mean, think about it. If you're the government and you're trying to develop stuff that you don't want anybody knowing about, I mean, like the B-2 bomber when it was first getting developed, we didn't know what that was at all. Like, there was the helicopters. I think I remember this right. The helicopters we used for getting Osama bin Laden, that those Navy SEALs used, we didn't even know existed. They declassified them for that mission.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Basically. So there's stuff the government has, and if you're trying to develop stuff outside of what you want your enemies knowing that you can do, UAP thing would be a great cover, because then you can test all kinds of stuff. Oh, it just all gets blamed as UAP. It all gets blamed as UAP type junk. And then another thing would be that, like, it intimidates your enemies, because if you're going to say that we have a reverse, basically, if the White House is saying, hey, we have unidentified aerial phenomena, and there's whistleblowers saying we have a crash retrieval program, that puts like in the heads of China and Russia of like, what kind of technology do they have? Because technology is warfare now. I mean, That's just what it is, like drone warfare. I mean, you've even seen like Ukraine and Russia. Like, I mean, those videos are horrible, but they're using those cheap $20 drones to put grenades on, bombs on, fly them over, and kill people. Like, it's totally inhumane, right? It's war crimes, but it's all this kind of stuff where, man, there's just been stuff that's like gone on too. It's like, that's really weird. What's going on? Like, remember Christmas with New Jersey?
Yes.
And all the drones.
The drones.
And people are like, what are these drones? What's going on? And Trump's like, I'm going to find out when I get in. And then he gets in, and it's like, the official story is, oh, that was all approved by the government. That's a nothing burger. It's like, if it was all approved by the government, why didn't the government just say that when it was all going on? And people were like, what is this? Yeah. That's really weird to do. And so people look at that as like, was that a test run to see how the public would react and junk like that?
So there's
rumors that there's been meetings with presidents about we can't do disclosure because of how it's going to affect religion. I mean, Steven Spielberg's movie, he gave an interview talking about how the movie Disclosure Day would give questions to Christians, or specifically Christians, by the way, which that should tell you something. Yeah. Specifically Christians on questioning their worldview and how they understand the world that God made.
Yeah.
And so
all of these conspiracies, can we say?
Sure.
A lot of them, I mean, I have seen the videos. Doesn't make it less of a conspiracy, right? What we're looking at whenever these UAPs are, I mean, the videos is pretty crazy of the way they can switch speeds.
Yeah, the Tic Tac is one that's a famous one.
The Tic Tac is a popular one. But other than that, it's just been a lot of talking.
It's all talking. It's all like stuff in the shadows and everything like that.
But these are, I mean, this is the highest of government officials who are talking openly about this now.
Yeah, like Anna Paulina Luna, who is one of these people on this like disclosure committee or whatever, she has even said like she doesn't believe they're extraterrestrial, that they're interdimensional. That's more proper to say they're interdimensional beings, which would then fit with like what we're saying, which would be there's basically, I think, two reasonable options for this UAP stuff. is one, government program / psyop, like government warfare technology, but then also I think demons. And I don't want to spend a ton of time there because that's like kind of like any Christian podcast or whatever that does this, that's the go-to answer, that this is just all demonic and spiritual in nature, which I do think so. Like I do think there's a demonic element to it, because when you talk about alien abduction type stuff that goes on and interacting with these creatures, so like that's the thing too. So like Stephen Greer, who's on this is not part of the government guy. This is guy that's like just out there doing disclosure stuff on his own. Like he says he has all these documents, all this proof, all these whistleblowers that he has access to, that he says he's briefed presidents and stuff like that, and he's trying to get them disclosed, blah, blah, blah. Like he will talk about that you can commune or interact with these entities, these higher intelligences. There's one video that like a whistleblower came out with that was like a Tic Tac. It showed him picking up like this Tic Tac with a helicopter, and he talked about it being like almost a spiritual experience. And he said, I think feminine energy, this spiritual experience that changed in the rest of his life, right? It's like you can commune with these things. Like Stephen Greer talks about these higher intelligence or interdimensional intelligence, because like the interdimensional theory is a really popular one, that you can summon them, which is what we would say for demons.
Yeah.
Like you can summon them and interact with them, right? And so I think some of this stuff is real and spiritually demonic.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you think about witchcraft, you think about the occult, you think about, we got evidences in Scripture, right? When these, what was it, the King Saul?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
the witch at Endor.
Yeah.
Like she calls up Samuel from the grave, and like necromancers. And that's what's always funny is like, why would God command that kings can't deal with necromancy? Is because you're looking for power, and you're looking for power from the other side. And so like, dude, there's all kinds of stuff. I must be into weird stuff, because then like our government has done this. Like our government absolutely deals with demonic powers and demonic forces in an official capacity. You go on the CIA website right now on declassified documents. There's a project called Project Stargate. Okay. Project Stargate is a remote viewing program. Do you know what remote viewing is?
Yeah.
So remote viewing is like psychic type stuff where you can psychically reach out of body experience type stuff and discern information or learn information. And there's in the CIA, there's stuff about them finding kidnapped people, finding this stuff like that it works and all this stuff. And so our government did this for years. It's declassified online. Like right now, you go on the CIA website. I looked it up. So our government absolutely participates in communes of demonic entities and demonic forces.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's not really that much of a shock. And two, when you think about like spacecraft or whatever, and what do we do with that stuff? Like, you have Ezekiel's wheels in Ezekiel 1, that wheels within wheels with eyes all around, shining brightly like glory. It's just, you read it, and Ezekiel is speaking things in language that he had to communicate truth he was trying to communicate, right? But it sounds, he's describing these cherubim and these angels, and it sounds like alien craft, like for lack of a better word. So some of the stuff could be that. I think like the question becomes like, well, how can angels, these spiritual entities, manifest physically or interact physically? These things are caught on FLIR, they're caught on radar, they're caught on video. Yeah. Like, how does that stuff work? And I don't know the answer to all that, but like biblically, these are questions that the Bible is not trying to answer. Does that make sense? We're asking questions that the Bible's not trying to answer. So some of this stuff is kind of guessing. It's not real proper hermeneutics. Like, you're not building a whole theology off of this, but you got the angels that show up before Abraham, right? The Lord and two angels that then eventually will go into Sodom, and they're eating, they're interacting physically, right? You got
and with Lot.
And with Lot, they reach out and grab him and drag him back in. So you have these spiritual entities actually dragging back in. We also know that spiritual entities can interact with the physical world, because God, when he judges Egypt, sends the angel of death, right? And then he sends his angel to do this. And there's several times in Israel's history where angels are obviously the ones implied that they're killing armies, destroying armies, and putting them to flight. So it's not unheard of that angels can interact with the physical realm.
Well, then when we talked about this before with the fall in the garden, Satan as a serpent.
Well, yeah, so that's what we talked about. Like, and this is where I'd be really hesitant, but because like one of my big questions is, okay, what if they did have bodies? Like, what if they showed up with bodies one day? Like, what would you do with that? Like, how would you answer that idea? And I would say, like, we just talked about how angels can manifest themselves in physical bodies, but Satan also manifests himself as a serpent in the Garden of Eden. And again, the Bible's not asking this question, so it's not fair to put it on it. But like, if you took a DNA sample of that serpent, what would that have been? What would that have looked like?
Yeah. Was
Satan just filling a snake? Did he manifest as a snake? Like, what does that be? So I think there's like some reason to think that, and two, let's be clear about these non-human biologics, because that's what they call, because they don't like these non-human biologic. It's only hearsay. It's only ever we have them, or I've heard of people that have them, or it's like third or fourth string, like telephone game type stuff. But there's, I think like Christians can look at this, say, okay, well, it's either the government doing what the government does, technology, all that kind of stuff, or it's spiritual entities and demons. Because like when you talk about these things are able to defy the laws of physics and go super fast, stop on a dime, doesn't look like they have any exhaust. I mean, one of the things I would go to would be defying the law of physics. Satan with Jesus in the wilderness. Like, Satan is with Jesus in the wilderness and transports him instantaneously to the top of the temple. Well, Jesus was a man. He never ceased to be a man at any point. So Jesus in the wilderness was then physically transported, defying the laws of physics, right, to the top of the temple. And so I think that there's reason to think that it's not unreasonable to think that these angels, which would be spiritual, because we talk about non-human intelligence, or that we're not alone. I mean, I think the Christian would be able to say, well, duh, of course we're not alone. Like, God created all things. Of course there's non-human intelligence. And God clearly tells us about angels, and these angels have wills. They have personalities, right? They can interact. They have missions. They do things. Because I also think it's really, really interesting that when you talk about interacting or communing with these non-human intelligences or whatever, they'll talk about how these aliens say, or these non-human intelligences say, they created us. They're our creators. That we're essentially like an evolutionary program for them for some reason. That they created us, and that I think that's convenient on several levels. Why give us a creation narrative?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of fits with the secular spirit of the age.
Yeah, it's everything that the secular spirit of the age would say if you have an atheistic, evolutionistic worldview, where science and technology are our highest things. So you have this highly advanced. So if I was a demon trying to deceive the whole world, you have this highly advanced scientific culture that then says they're our creator and we evolved through their machinations. I mean, there's like even a CIA whistleblower deal that talks about how the CIA has used 23andMe to try to find alien DNA in people. And like another big one that came out recently was like that there's a government hybrid, I think Tim Burchett talked about it, that might be wrong, but there's this government hybrid program trying to forcibly mate and produce hybrid alien human offspring.
Is this a la the Nephilim?
Like, I don't know. I mean, that's like where you'd go to if the Nephilim is really angels and not sons of Seth, which I don't really know where I land on all that. But like, that's where you'd go. I mean, it's just bizarro stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I'd say the overall, like, a theology of aliens is either government psyop, so they can continue doing their technology stuff, garner more control and power to themselves, but also I think
instill fear
and spiritual entity control, because these spiritual entities that will say, we created you, there is no Jesus. They'll specifically say there is no Jesus, or we made up all the religions to try to keep you guys peaceful. Like, that's exactly what demons would say, right? And Satan can manifest himself as an angel of light. And so these things are coming promising life, promising good things. Like, if you look at alien abduction stories, and there's like a Christian, I can't remember what book he has, but like there's a Christian out there, apologist guy, that kind of has dealt with some of this stuff and done some of these interviews, that like these alien abduction stuff, like this non-human intelligence, is that you're chosen for a purpose to basically like bring humanity to greater enlightenment, which again fits that secular worldview that we just need to ascend to greater enlightenment to attain to this like alien world, essentially. And so those are basically the two options: spiritual entities, demons, or government psyop. And then I think, like, one of the things that you'll hear Christians sometimes say is like, well, if God created everything, well, God could have created aliens, and that's no problem in my spiritual worldview. God created aliens. So if there are aliens out there, God created them, and that's no problem for a Christian worldview because that they're still under creation. And I understand the sentiment of that. I just, not in like a super hard way, but I just don't agree I don't agree that there can be non-human intelligence on that kind of scale out there somewhere in the universe. Like if you got to Mars and you found an amoeba, that's not a problem for the Christian worldview. Like who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're talking about non-human intelligence, the way we are, of intergalactic space travel, of cultures and civilizations, like creatures with will, purpose, something to pass on, legacy, you're talking the thing that makes us distinct as humans, made in the Imago Dei, from the animals. So animals have non-human intelligence, but they don't have will, culture, or anything like that. They have nature, whereas humans have nature and culture. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think you could have a non-human entity out there somewhere with that kind of intelligence, because Hebrews specifically says it's not the angels that he helps, right? It's not the angels that he helps. He bypasses the angel. Jesus bypasses the angels and becomes incarnate as a human man. And the whole Romans 8, what that tells us is that when Adam fell into sin, all of creation was put under a curse. That's not just creation is in this world. That's creation is in the whole universe. Mm-hmm. The whole universe is called entropy. Like it's deteriorating, is dying. Now, it's obviously not going to ultimately die, like the left would have you say, but it is dying because everything's broken. Everything's put under a curse. So, like, when the secularist atheist looks out at the universe and see it dying, see the sun dying, what they should see is, oh, sin did this, not evolutionary whatever. But what you would essentially have then, because Adam's sin affected the whole creation, and all creation is under a curse, and Jesus only became a man. Like, he became a man. He bypasses the angels, that humanity is unique as image bearers of God. That would mean you have this supposedly sinless, because they're not humans, this supposedly sinless creature out there, sinless non-human intelligence out there that did nothing to sin against the Creator, did nothing to sin against God, which again, remember, every interaction you have with these entities from people that talk about it say that these things deny God, deny Jesus Christ, okay? But they would have these creatures that, because like the Great Commission, would that expanded them? No, because Jesus didn't die for them. Jesus died for humans. Jesus died for people that sinned. And if you're saying these creatures are sinless, then they would not deny Jesus when they interact with people here. But also, if they didn't know about Jesus or they didn't know about the gospel or whatever, because that's what some Christians will say, is you have these creatures living out there in a deteriorating, broken world through no sin of their own, and they have no idea why. Mm. They have no concept why. That just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't buy the fact that there could be life out there on other planets in terms of a non-human intelligence equal to humanity. And I also think, like, what's funny is if you like just look at it statistically, like the closest solar system that can support life and stuff, to be able to find us, I mean, it's like a needle in a haystack. I mean, the fact that that we'd be visited by multiple alien civilizations is just almost impossible. And you can say, well, they have all this technology and all this stuff like that. But like, one of the curious things is that when you have like all these reports of aliens or whatever, is that they're always bipedal creatures, which to me, you think, well, that sounds weird. Why does that matter? But think about the world we have right now. Like, human beings are the only bipedal creatures like us. Like, can gorillas and chimpanzees walk around on two legs? Yeah, but that's not their normal form, right? They're knuckle draggers. Yeah. They're walking around on all fours, generally speaking. Yeah. Human beings are the only creature that does not do that, okay? And yet, look how much diversity there is out there in the world. And so if you're going to give the evolutionist, say he's right, say the evolutionist is right about everything, that there is no creator, we all evolved from nothing, from single life cell organisms. Look at the diversity that's out there. Millipedes, centipedes, 6-legged insects, 8-legged spiders, 2-legged humans, 4-legged creatures of all different kinds, some with hooves, some without hooves, some with paws. In an evolutionary worldview, these non-human intelligences just happen to be bipedal as well, and develop all this kind of space technology and be somewhat similar to us and analogous to us whenever we're the only thing like us on this planet, if that's how evolution works, I mean, that's just insane.
Sure. I mean, well, I keep coming back to, as you're talking through these congressional hearings and what's being shared, and like high level people.
I mean, Trump did a joke about it where it's like he did this like aliens joke. Did you see this? And it was like it got kind of heat for it because it was about illegal aliens.
Oh, I didn't see.
They posted that's like this like their disclosures coming soon. Aliens.gov. It's live now, and it comes like this green text, and it's like we're not alone. They've been here for years. Like, so it's like, oh, is this like alien disclosure stuff? And it's like Trump's like, it's illegal aliens. We're going to deport them.
Gotcha.
And stuff like that. But I mean, that's the president actively, openly talking about aliens.
I honestly don't remember a time in my life when it's been this prevalent, like the discussions from government.
And you don't think with like the way news media lies, the way we saw how all the stuff with COVID, how everything is just a psyop, everything's just a lie, that like all this stuff is coming out, and it just so happens to be that Steven Spielberg is making a movie called Disclosure Day. That just so happens to be touted as one of the best movies ever made in the last 10 years. Like,
yeah, hopefully we've learned a little bit, and we're not as susceptible as we were during COVID on the plays they run to garner power and fear. But how is truth established? And there is zero, other than conjecture, hearings, discussions from whistleblowers, not throwing all that stuff out, I don't know. But there's no evidence that has been, other than those videos that I've seen, specifically like around the biologics of the actual. I
think the best evidence, if you want to call it that, is actually the people like outside the government that talk about communing or summoning these entities and summoning these
which that
creatures.
I totally believe, because we live in this world of we're embodied souls.
You see it in the Bible. Like
there's a spiritual war being waged.
Yeah. And so I think Christians don't need to freak out about non-human intelligences, especially if they're interdimensional creatures. Like that would actually fit with, because angels are creatures. Angels are not gods. Angels are creatures, right? That would actually fit within a biblical worldview pretty easily and not difficult. The physical craft stuff is always the one that got me, but that's where I said like angels can manifest physically. They can interact physically. So that's not entirely out there. And I think too the biggest thing for me is how I think it's a demonic deception, because the immediate jump is like, we're not alone, in a sense, like with the implication of being Christianity's false. Christianity's false. The science is the truth, which it's amazing. It just so happens to fit with everything like that the secular worldview would say.
Sure. And
so I think that when you come to here's the other thing too, and maybe this is a good place to like kind of, because Tim Burchett, he professed to be a Christian. Okay. He professes to be a Christian. He's done several interviews with all kinds of people. He's done with, I think, Joe Rogan. He's done with Steve Deace. Steve Deace is a Christian guy. Like, he says he has not seen any evidence of any kind of biologic, any kind of pilot, any kind of anything. He's seen stuff that he wants to disclose, but it's all in regards to craft, which could be the reverse engineering, black budget CIA programs. I mean, there's also crazy stuff that's like, I was telling you right before this, there's FBI investigation. I think it's an FBI. I think it's FBI investigation into 10 to 12 missing persons that are high-level nuclear scientists associated with aerospace program.
Yeah.
Like that just disappear and no one knows where they are. And so the UAP people are like, oh, it's all UAP stuff. Like they were going to come out or whistleblow or whatever. And like the UAP people do say, like, if you whistleblow, you're going to get killed. Like I think David Grush has talked about it. Stephen Greer's talked about it, that they know people that have been killed over this stuff.
Well, I believe it.
And that like Stephen Greer even talks about how this alien stuff is a cover for the government to use this technology, this unidentified technology, for human trafficking, to enrich themselves. Like there's stories of like abductions in like South America and stuff like that for human trafficking purposes and drug smuggling purposes and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just kind of a crazy, corrupt world. But I think at the end of the day, I don't really hear this argument very much either, I think the best apologetic for some of this stuff is what the alien stuff would have to account for is the historical apologetic for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Like, even if this alien stuff, like, because I think about like worst case scenario, like, right, what hey, plop a body out. Hey, here it is. Look at it, poke it. I'd say, well, this stuff can be pretty fake. Like stuff can be pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you've cloned rats, monkeys, whatever. Like, and that's things like some of the UAP videos. You can't even trust it because of AI. But say it pops it out and you could see it, you could touch it. It's like, hey, it's definitive. It's all here and junk like that. I think what you'd still have to reckon with, and why it wouldn't immediately just destroy Christianity, because I don't think Christianity can be destroyed, is you have to reckon with the fact that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. That historically speaking, Jesus Christ was a historical person, and there is historical evidence that he wrote, like all the classic apologetics we use, right? The disciples all dying. Why would they die for a life? They didn't see him rise from the dead.
Yeah.
Like that you have Roman non-Christians writing about Crestus and writing about controversies about this one that people say rose from the dead. So like it's historical fact and historical record that you still have to reckon with. And the resurrection, that's what I think I'd say. Like the resurrection is the ultimate determinate fact of history. Nothing else. Like everything else is secondary to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That Jesus did die and rise again. And that means something. And so everything else has to fit into that worldview because that's the one that trumps everything. Mm-hmm. There's no one that's ever died and risen again Jesus rose people from the dead, but Jesus raised himself from the dead. God the Father raised him from the dead. The Spirit raised him from the dead. I mean, there's no one that's been risen from the dead like Jesus Christ to never die again.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone else that Jesus raised, the widow's son, Lazarus, all died, all dead and buried in a grave. Jesus rose again, never to die. And so that has to mean something. And I think you have to look at historic Christian faith and say, even if all this stuff is true and our government came out, because like if the government, that's I think what's going to be hard for people. If the president comes out and says there are non-human intelligences, they're extraterrestrials, they're aliens, we interact with them, we have craft from them, we've developed craft from them, there's like technology stuff, which by the way, the reason why all these UAP people say the government covers it up is because one of the theories is 0 point energy, which basically means free energy.
Okay.
That like this theory is that like this UAP, they've developed 0 point energy, which would eliminate fossil fuels, would eliminate electrical grid, would eliminate like everything, make everything free, basically. And they don't want to give that up because of money and stuff like that. But if the president comes out and says, hey, there's extra craft, here's what all of it is, I don't think then Christians would need to be freaked out and be like, well, what do we do? How do we figure this out? Because we still have to, because then you have to deal with it kind of on the other side of like, you have to deal with the resurrection. What do you do with that now? What do you do with the historical testimony of that and historical fact of that?
Yeah.
And the historical proof of that in the perseverance of the church throughout the ages, despite the whole world being against them, despite persecution and death and imprisonment and harassment, you have to deal with the aspect of individual Christian testimony of changed lives, changed marriages. I mean, why do I believe Jesus is true? Because I've seen his power at work in my life. I'm not who I was. I'm not the same person.
Yeah.
And it's not just because I'm better than everybody else. There's got to be some kind of spiritual power in us, right? And so I think you'd have to reckon with that fact. And that's the thing I think gets lost a lot in this UAP talk is that the resurrection is still there and still has to be reckoned with.
Sure. No, that's good. I mean, the last thing I'll add is the rate at which technology has increased to where it is now. I mean, I think sometimes if Martin Luther, if you were to put a drone in front of his face, or if he were to see a plane flying, he'd be like, what is this? Like we've gotten accustomed to, I mean, the iPhone technology. Now we're desensitized to it, but it's not normal.
Yeah.
Right. To previous generations.
Well, like it shouldn't surprise us either that the government would have stuff like that either, because like I listen to a lot of military podcast stuff too. And those guys talk all the time about how their stuff that they used years ago that still isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
Like technology that is way ahead of what gets out to the public.
Sure.
No, you know what I mean? And so it's not unfathomable for, think of Top Gun, like the Mach 10 bird, like that probably exists somewhere. It for sure does.
Yeah.
And I think that Christians need to look at this stuff with a biblical worldview. And I think too, having an answer that is beyond, which again, I'm not diminishing it at all. I think that demons is a real legitimate answer, but also an answer beyond demons, because I don't think what we're seeing is merely demonic. I think demons are capitalizing, but I also think it's kind of both and.
Yeah. Yeah. The government psyop.
Yeah.
That's good. Is that where you want to land it?
I think so. I mean, I think just that, it's been helpful for me because, I don't know, man. Like aliens, I felt it when I was a kid. Independence Day, actually, my dad got surround sound, and when the DVDs came out, okay, And we watched Independence Day at night. I remember it distinctly. Pallet in the floor, all that stuff. And it was loud because of surround sound. And when those aliens, all those people are like, oh, like waving at the top of the building, those aliens blow up that building, wrecked me for life as a kid, dude. Terrified me as a kid. I was so scared of aliens from then on out.
Wait, how old were you?
Whatever it came out on DVD. I mean, I was young. But like, I'm talking like Signs, one of the scariest movies I ever saw in theaters.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember it.
Mars Attacks, which is a comedy movie, could not watch. So like all this stuff kind of hits close to home because like I think I had like childhood trauma with it. But I think that that's why I think I'm interested in it, because I think there's obviously spiritual stuff going on in this world. And so how does the world answer that? And then how do Christians answer that?
Yeah.
And then having Christians understand like what's true is true because of the resurrection.
Yeah. No, amen to that. That's good, man. Well, we hope this discussion over the theology of aliens has been helpful to you. And until next time, this is Everyday Discipleship.